Comment, like, subscribe. The bell keeps you notified. It helps the show thrive. American football teams seem to have really cool names, like the Las Vegas Raiders or the Carolina Panthers or the New York Giants. Fun names that'd be really cool to explain. However, as a tea-swigging Brit, this quote-unquote football doesn't enthrall me. I live in a nation that prefers a very different kind of football, one that actually involves feet and a ball-shaped ball. The only issue with association football, to give it its full name, is the names of the teams. Football teams here in the UK tend to simply be named after the part of the country they are from. This can be seen prominently in the English Premier League, or EPL for short. The EPL is not only the UK's most popular league, but the most popular league of football on the entire planet. People from all across the world watch the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea play the beautiful game. Those two aforementioned teams are named after the places they are from, as mentioned, those being the city of Manchester and the area of London called Chelsea. This isn't the case for every team, however, like Arsenal, whose name comes from their history, and Sheffield Wednesday, who aren't in the EPL but have a fun name worth mentioning. It derives from the fact that the team initially played on a Wednesday. They are also seen as the oldest active football club in the world, so that's worth highlighting them alone. So while the names of these teams might be a tad dull, not all is lost in the world of footy nomenclature, as the teams of the EPL have nicknames too. These nicknames are a lot more diverse and worth diving into. Many simply derive from their kit colours, while others come from more unique origins. What's also interesting is that some derive from the names given to them by rival teams, which they've adopted for themselves. Many teams have multiple nicknames, meaning fans can choose what they want to name their club. So let's dive into them, shall we? And for the record, as the teams of the EPL change on a yearly basis, I'm just covering the teams who are in the 2022 to 2023 season. So if you're watching this in the future, or somehow the past, and I don't mention a team in the league at that time or vice versa, that's the reason why. Arsenal, as mentioned, aren't actually named after a location, but rather the fact that their team was initially formed by workers in a military munitions factory. Not only does this explain the team's actual name, but also their nickname, the Gunners. Guns, munitions, it's easy to see really. The nickname Howe was also taken by people who don't support the team and adapted into the Gooners. This is a mutation of Gunners, and goon is a term for an idiot or thug. Some think it may relate to the club's history with hooliganism. Whatever the case, it's a nickname Arsenal have embraced themselves. Manchester City are one of the two Mancunian teams in the EPL. While they are known as the Sky Blues because of their kit colour, they are also known as the Citizens. This nickname seems to derive from the fact that they are the team of the city, so they are citizens. It's a simple play off the word city. Tottenham Hotspurs are known simply as Spurs. This is a shortening of the latter part of their name. So what does Hotspur mean? Well, Hotspur is actually an old term for a rash or fiery person, though you don't seem to hear it used in that way anymore. The initial bearer of this title was one Sir Henry Percy of the 14th century. He got this nickname as he dug his spurs into his horse often in anger to make them go faster. Sir Henry Percy had ties to the Tottenham area, hence why they are named as such. Tottenham also have another nickname, one I'm not going to mention here as it's seen by some as a derogatory word. You can find it yourself, but it relates to the fact that the Tottenham area of London has a high Jewish population. The best team in the EPL, Chelsea, are known as the Blues, once again due to their kit. However, they are also known as the Pensioners. This nickname doesn't relate to the advanced age of their players. It comes from the nearby Royal Hospital Chelsea, a retirement home for former service people, aka pensioners. What's interesting is that these pensioners are known for their red coats, which contradicts Chelsea's blueness. Manchester United are perhaps the most well-known team on the entire planet, and they have the instantly recognisable nickname of the Red Devils. This nickname was actually stolen from a local rugby team in the area, the Salford Rugby Club, who are also known as the Red Devils. They got named the Red Devils initially by French rugby teams because of how diabolical they were on the pitch, so took the name with pride. Man United were initially nicknamed the Busby Babes in honour of their former beloved manager Matt Busby. However, after a plane crash which killed 8 of their players, the name felt tainted, so it was changed to what they are known as now. Newcastle United are known as the Magpies. This comes from their black and white kit, the same colour colour as the highly intelligent birds. The team and its fans as a whole are known as the Toonami. This nickname comes from the word town and how it's pronounced with a Newcastle accent. They are also known as the GEORDIES, a term for someone from the city of Newcastle. Where that comes from, however, we'll cover in the future, as I've been promising for years now. Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club covers Brighton and, well, Hove. Their nickname is the Seagulls. This is pretty easy to understand. If you've ever been to Brighton Beach, seagulls are abundant, causing chaos and living their best life. God damn, I love seagulls. I actually run a tiny Instagram page called Seagulls Being Awful where I highlight some of their antics. Follow there so I can become insta famous and don't have to do this shtick anymore. They are also sometimes just called Albion. This is an old name for Britain referencing the White Cliffs of Dover, which are relatively close by. Liverpool Football Club are simply known as the Reds, once again because of their red kit. What's interesting is that they started their career with blue kit. It was manager Bill Shankly who first requested red in the kit, that being in their socks. This eventually went from being just their socks to their entire kit. Brentford FC have the nickname of the Bees. This began life as just the letter B, which is at the start of the name Brentford. Fans at matches in the past would shout "Buck up Bees" in support of their team. This got misconstrued into being the animal instead of the letter, and they have been named after the honey-making insect ever since. AFC Bournemouth have the rather peculiar nickname of the Cherries. There's a few ideas as to where this name came from. One theory is that it relates to the red they play in, what with cherries being red and everything. The other theory is the fact that their stadium of Dean Court was built next to an orchard of cherry trees. Both seem fitting ideas in all honesty. Fulham FC have a few nicknames. Their nicknames of the White and Lily White refers to the white colour of their kits of course. However, their more unique name is the Cottagers. This name comes from the name of their home ground, Craven Cottage. This cottage which the stadium sprouted around was built by one William Craven. Another source told me it was built by someone called Lord Cottage, which sounds a tad dubious but worth mentioning I suppose. West Ham's nickname of the Hammers is easy to understand. It's a diminutive of their actual name. However, there's a tad more history behind it too. This name, kind of like Arsenal, has its roots in the workers of a specific field, that being people in construction, where hammers would have been used. Initially, this team was called Thames Ironworks FC. This older name has lived on in another nickname for the team, the Irons. Whichever one you prefer, they both highlight the team's industrial past. Crystal Palace are an interesting team due to the fact they're named after something that doesn't exist anymore. The original Crystal Palace was a huge structure primarily made out of glass, aka crystal, to house the Great Exhibition of 1851. A construction like this wasn't really the norm at the time, so seeing a huge building made more or less completely out of glass would have been a sight to behold. It was unfortunately destroyed in a fire in 1936, but still the name lives on with the team. This also explains one of their nicknames, the Glaziers. A glazer is someone who works with glass, so that one makes sense. What makes a bit less sense is their other nickname of the Eagles. This name was simply implemented by their manager of Malcolm Allison in 1973, adopting it from the popular Portuguese side of Benfica. Everton are another team from Liverpool, which many believe are the true team for the city. They have the rather unique nickname of the Toffees. This nickname comes from the belief that at their original stadium there are multiple toffee shops in the area. Many fans would buy these toffees and eat them during their matches. Everton also have the more simple nickname of the Blues too, once again due to their kit colour. Leeds United are known as the White because, you guessed it, their kits. However, they are also known as the Peacocks, an animal that is far from white. This bird-based name comes from the name of a pub that is close to their home ground, called the Old Peacock. Due to its vicinity, this pub became closely linked with the team, so much so that the team gained the nickname in ode of it. Aston Villa are another team that have a nickname formed by their rivals, the Villains. This is a play on the villa at the end of their name, and comes from the fact that they were disliked by others, like how villains tend to be. Wolverhampton Wanderers are nicknamed the Wolves, another play on the team's name, which sounds like wolf/wolves anyway. They are also simply known as the Wanderers too. Wanderers is a term that appears in a couple other team names too, such as the Wycombe Wanderers. It's believed that the clubs that took on this name were the ones that had no home ground, so were left wandering for places to play. Southampton Football Club are known as the Saints. This, like Arsenal and West Ham, derives from the origins of the team, as initially Southampton started life as a church team, specifically the Church of St Mary's. This also explains why their home stadium is called St Mary's too. Leicester City have the nickname of the Foxes. This comes from the deep-rooted history of fox hunting in Leicestershire as a whole. Many believe that this quote-unquote sport started in this county of England. While it is now banned, clearly the city, county and club have held onto this history. Nottingham Forest seem to be the team with the most nicknames. First off, we have the Reds, simply an ode to their shirt colour, but there's also the nicknames of the Forests and the Tricky Trees. These both relate to the whole forest part of their name, with its links to Sherwood Forest of Robin Hood fame, though perhaps their strangest nickname is the Garibaldis. This seems to come from the fact that the team once wore Garibaldi red caps, a type of hat, due to it being the same colour as their kit. These hats are named after Giuseppe Garibaldi, who helped form the Kingdom of Italy, and weirdly enough came up on our recent beard video too. Life works in strange ways sometimes. Finally, I want to highlight one of the more beloved teams who are recently going to be re-debuting in the EPL, that being AFC Richmond. This London-based team are nicknamed the Greyhounds. This seems to link to the history of greyhounds in the area. They even once had a greyhound mascot called Earl. Just don't let him near the goalpost while Danny Rojas has a penalty. This topic was suggested by Stephen Nikolov over on my Patreon. Every Wednesday, I put up a video request post over on my Patreon for my awesome patrons to leave video ideas on. I then pick one of those ideas to be turned into a video the following Wednesday. So if you have a great idea for a Name Explain video and wish to enjoy Name Explain videos ad-free as well as get exclusive content, then why not support the channel on Patreon? It takes just $1 a month to help the channel in a huge way and gets you all of these amazing benefits. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below. Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, and the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos. $2 a month gets you all that, plus your name here with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.